This is my Purpleleaf sand cherry. I picked this up, it was on sale at Lowe's towards the end of the year. And I figured, hey, why not? It's good practice, deciduous material, and I kind of like the trunk. However, I've had this for about a year. Not even that, actually. Well, maybe around there. And the more I look at it, the more I feel like it's a two-dimensional tree, which is very flat. Has a fan shape, and I love the flowers on this thing. Actually, as far as flowering ornamental cherries go, this is very, very nice compared to, you know, even some of the Japanese flowering cherries. So what I want to do with this tree is prune it in a way that makes it feel more like a tree and not a little bush. The ratio of branches to the trunk right now are just, they're too close. I want branches that look like this. And so I'm gonna have to do some drastic pruning on this tree before more of that spring flush happens. And I'm gonna use the rule of 30 here as far as 30% goes and prune off probably closer to about 50 to 60% of this tree to stimulate the tree's response and bud out with the remaining branches. So the trick here is to pick the leader. I think I'm going to go, I like this kind of Miyogi growth here, and I may choose this, so I will leave this bit left on the tree, but for now, I think what I'm going to do is trim this off, trim this back one off, trim the tip of this off, and actually take this off altogether. So yeah, I've enjoyed the flowers though. I really, really like it, but I don't like the unconvincing thick straight branches and the ratio of its size to the trunk. No time lapse on this video. There's going to be some really fast, quick cuts, only a few to do. And you can see some of the cuts I did last year. They compartmentalized really well. And so what I'll do is I'll probably just take this back to about right here. These can actually root relatively well. So if you air layer it, use cuttings, you should be able to turn it into another tree. And look at the inside of that. It's got a purple tinge to it. It's kind of neat. I'm leaving this one for now. I may do something with it later on. You always want to leave some branches that kind of function as backup. So I'm super undecided about cutting off this branch altogether or leaving this just in case. That might be a better leader, so I'm just going to take this one right here. And even if, when you look at this tree actually from this angle, you see how straight that branch is? So eventually I'll probably cut it back to here. I may do it now. You know what? After cutting that, I've decided to take this guy off as well. We're going to take this one off, cut it as close to the collar as possible, and I'll clean that up next year, or I'll clean it up now. Okay, so did some pretty drastic cuts, but I really want a central leading trunk versus multi-fan trunk on this tree. At least I got a couple flowers left to enjoy this year. And I do like the fact that it's leaning forward, kind of like bowing to the viewer. And eventually the tree will probably sit back kind of like this. I left some stubs just in case there's dieback, and we'll follow up with this tree next year, or actually maybe this summer. We'll see how it looks. Sand cherry. It's growing. Very, very, very strong too. Very vigorous. I've cut back a couple times, and I like what's happening here. The branches aren't growing straight, and everything has a slight curve to it, so that's good. This is a mid-June update on the sand cherry, and you can see here that it has flushed out a lot of new growth, and it's very vigorous in terms of growing these new shoots. So I've got some decisions to make now. I know it's still the growing season. Spring is almost over. We're about to head into summer, and the branches are starting to, they'll probably lignify, but they're very delicate at the same time. If you get a closer look, these are all kind of that new soft tissue growth, and they break relatively easy in the wind. So I have to cut this back so that they don't lignify too straight, and I want it to ramify even more. So that's what I'll do today. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this tree right here. Back, I think it was either April or maybe beginning of May, I wanted to make the choice of either keeping this informal. Let me lower this right there. So I had to make the decision of either keeping this trunk line, which I don't love, by the way, or keeping this kind of more Miyogi style informal upright. And this branch up here was just this tiny little skinny stick, but it's thickened up relatively quickly. And I think the taper would be much nicer, you know, as the tree develops. So what I'm going to do today is chop this top portion off, even though it has all this great new growth. The sand cherry is so vigorous that I'm not too worried about kind of setting it back. And so let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to start right here. Here it is. There's a lot of growth on that branch, but I didn't like kind of the twists and turns and curves on it very much. So I'm actually going to cut it back down to about right there. And then clean it up just a little bit so that there's a convincing taper. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is not expensive material, so I don't really care. And sometimes you have to deconstruct deciduous material to be able to get it where you need it to be. And then, so now I'm just going to trim back some of the branches. This I will leave because I do want it to thicken up and taper this leader. But these I want it to ramify. I'll just go ahead and do that. basically cutting back the 2 leaves. I've already cut this one back once. I want the direction to go a different way. Okay. And that's it. There it is again. I've deconstructed the tree one more time. And I probably could have done this the first time around, but I wanted to see how this leader would look. Oops, I didn't mean to cut that part. I probably should have left it alone. That's okay. So now, back to bare bones, and we'll wait for the new flush of growth. Now this has become more of a like a mame-sized tree. So yeah, okay. We'll follow up with this tree towards the fall. Here's the update on the sand cherry. And today is well, actually it's the beginning of August, so August 2nd now. And you can see here, you know, even though I've done a lot of pruning on this thing, it's finally developing that informal upright, or Miyogi style, sorry. Miyogi type of trunk line, I guess. And so today I'm actually going to do some further pruning to kind of bring it back. It's grown pretty wild, and this thing has taken a lot of pruning and it's responded pretty well. Okay, so I kind of like the structure of the tree right now, and all I'm going to do is just prune these back so that way they ramify closer to the trunk. I don't want this branch here, but it's the only thing filling this space right now, so I'm just gonna keep it about right there. There. Okay, this is my leader, so I'm just going to let it grow, fatten up the trunk a little bit. Put that back. There it is. Okay, so that's the structure of the tree for the most part. And, we'll let it grow from here and come back to it. Here's a follow-up on the sand cherry. Completely defoliated from the wintertime, and you can see here that, you know, it's developing, it's branching. I probably have to do a little bit more cutback on this, and that branch that was so thin has thickened up really fast. So these things grow pretty quickly if you don't watch it. I think what I'll do is I'm going to prune it back now that the taper on it is starting to get cylindrical, and it's losing its taper technically. So I'm going to cut it. Okay, so I want this to taper. It's a little too cylindrical for my taste right now. What I'm going to do is start cutting it back a little bit. Some weeds, you gotta pull those guys out. I don't know if I want to keep that. I might, just to kind of, I don't know, we'll see. Cut these back, cut off the dieback wood. Actually, I might cut that back even further right there. Let's go back to here. That there. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is, because when I first cut this thing down, it was either this was going to be the new leader or this was going to be the new leader. But I like how this one is developing. So what I'm going to do is probably wire this one down and then cut this one in the back off. I use this one to thicken up this part of the trunk so that it'd be more of a gradual. Yeah, it'd be more of a gradual taper instead of something that was thick that went to something that was really thin. So these things develop relatively fast, so I'm just going to go cut that off. It does die back. I'm actually going to plug this into the soil, see if they'll root. They do root relatively. I will wire this branch right here. This one. Like that. I may need to wire this one down a little bit as well. I know you want to wire 2 branches, but breaking the rule a little bit. Because this wire is actually a heavier gauge than it needs. Okay, so this will be what I'll use to develop ramification next season. We're going on a full year on this tree right now. Okay, so I'm going to put this sand cherry into a mesh basket, so that way I can develop the roots and slow down the growth rate and the coarseness of the growth. That way I can get better ramification and shorter internodes. Okay, so you can see the soil here is pretty typical nursery soil. It's very dense, holds a lot of water, and I don't need all that, so it's time to work it down to some good roots and repot. So after bare rooting this thing, I've noticed that there's some really large tap roots that run kind of down both sides and fine roots all over it. So this tree should take pretty well to some root pruning here, and should take well to a better soil and a different pot. So I really like this nabari, how it's shaping up here. That's my favorite part when doing this, is discovering that nabari when you get down nice and deep, and then you find that kind of flare towards the bottom that you wouldn't see otherwise unless you bare rooted it. It is a fun thing to do. Yeah, this thing might even do well with actually like a root over a rock or something like that. Yeah, I might try that. There's a bit of a cavity underneath. You can see that hole right there where I might be able to squeeze a rock underneath and turn it into that. So we'll see. I think I'll play around with it. I have this rock just kind of laying around the yard. I'm going to use this as what I will place the sand cherry over. Okay, that actually was almost perfect. The wedge right in there. I'm using pumice, mixed in with some peat and some compost. I want the bottom to be really loose. The top I will probably use the same mixture, but this basket is what creates the really fine roots. And yeah, that should look pretty cool once you know, I can kind of get this into a finer pot and the tree starts to flower. This is going to be a pretty cool tree. Okay, I've got it into the pot. I'm just going to walk this thing back to where it was amongst the rest of the trees, and I'll just stay here for the time being. It's been raining a lot, so I'm not going to actually try to water it. I'll let it do naturally. April update on the sand cherry. Starting to flower. You hear the birds in the background. Love being outside. This is like my favorite thing to do. Alright, so here's the sand cherry. I'm going to start pinching this thing just like this, just like maples. Start pinching these kind of new buds so that it will start to ramify even more. Some of these I'm a little late on, but that's okay. There you go. Starting to look like a little bonsai. Flowers are just finished off. Only a few this year because the tree's a lot smaller than they used to be. And I want this sucker, so I'm just going to pull that off. Alright. It's a mid-May update on this sand cherry. And all I'm going to do here is start to wire a couple of the branches down. The branches at this stage are very delicate, so it's super easy to break them. The wiring is a very delicate task. Got to be super gentle. Just taking some of those branches, pulling them down so that I can have more of a fuller canopy. Okay, that's good so far. I'm going to trim it next. So I want to develop the ramification on this tree. I'm just going to trim it down to a leaf that is going underneath the branch instead of one that goes up. And that way you don't have a new branch that goes straight up. Instead it'll start from the bottom and then work its way up. So there you go. May update on this tree. This I most likely won't put into a bonsai pot until next year. It's a July update on the sand cherry. I think this tree is coming along nicely. I've done very little wiring, lots of clip and grow, And it's developed into a pretty decent looking tree. So I'm pretty happy with this thing. You know, I wasn't sure about this little sucker growth, but I may grow that out as a kind of a lower dual trunk. And then, you know, it's ramifying. And what I've noticed with this tree is when you cut, you don't get division. You get a single branch that comes out from where you cut, or, you know, the leading leaf that is left behind is where the branch comes out. So, being that that is the case, this is not one of those trees that ramify like maples do. I think what I have to do here is maybe experiment with defoliating, which may cause it to flush out and back bud a little bit more. So I think I will do that next with this tree. Okay, I'm going through and just partially defoliating this thing. It's a very vigorous grower, and it pushes out new shoots quite a bit. But you know, it doesn't ramify very easily, and it does tend to shoot out the new shoots straight up, and so you have to kind of work them down to get it to look a certain way. And so here, I would recommend keeping this tree as close to the work table as possible, because if you miss an opportunity to kind of trim off or pinch the new buds, you're going to get these super long straight shoots that won't look as attractive. So there it is, partial defoliation. I'm going to get this leaf too. Oh, it looks like it's a little deformed when it came out. Okay, so I'm hoping that this will stimulate the tree to push out new buds in different places. You know, I do want a stem right here. I used a back stem or branch to make it look like it came out of there, but it doesn't. So, you know, it's the illusion of creating a very full tree by doing that. So anyways, I'm going to put on a couple wires on this tree and then continue to work it throughout the season, because it is a very vigorous grower. All right, here is the sand cherry fall update. You can see here there's a lot more ramification, and these branches, they just want to grow straight up. So you have to do a lot to kind of keep them wired and down. You can see here there's a nice trunk line developing on this thing. And then I've left this little branch to develop in that area. I think it would make a interesting little feature on the tree. Keep in mind there's a rock underneath here too, so I'm trying to let it grow over that rock. There's a lot happening with this tree. So yeah, that's sand cherry October update 2021. All right. Now that we're into November and fall has really come in full effect, all of the leaves have fallen off. Now they have. Maybe one more. Okay, there. The last leaf has fallen off. So what I've done is I'm reviewing this tree, I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to determine, you know, what to do next with it. I really want it to feel out, right? You notice all the branches here, they oh man, those scissors are pretty dull. There we go. And these sand cherries want to just kind of force their branches up to the sun like this, so they're all popping up. I want to bring it down just a little bit more so that you know, when they do grow, they'll pop up naturally and such, but I want to get these branches down. I don't love this branch. It's the only one that I have that can fill in the space at the moment. And the reason why I don't love it is because it's so straight. But if you look at it here, it's actually coming out of this area, and then I've kind of bent it in place to fill in that gap. And what happened was when I cut this area, nothing budded out from it. So I want to try to induce something to bud from here. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm experimenting with my own kind of technique that I'm doing trial and error on. And so, I don't know if like rooting hormone will induce roots as well as potential nodes where new branches can come out of, but I'm playing around with that idea at the moment. So right now I'm just gonna clean this tree up, get rid of all these little stubs that have been cut out throughout the season, and then I'm gonna wire it so that the branching goes down. Okay, so this tree, cut back to here. Oh look, one more leaf. There you go, fall. I'm helping you out. I'm hoping that this bud comes out of this area right here, but I don't like how straight this branch is. On a deciduous tree, one of the things you don't want to have is a tree that is just too straight or has branches that are just too straight. You literally want everything to be knobby and turned and have movement. So I don't know what to do with this quite yet. It's growing. What am I going to do with that? I don't know. I think I'm going to actually cut it. So goodbye to that. And then have that one bud out from here and shoot out there. This will be the new leader. Okay. And then I'm going to wire these other branches so they go down and not up. It does require a lot of work to ramify these things, but there's a branch here that I probably need to wire as well. Okay, so I'm going to get some light wire and just kind of begin the process wiring this tree down. Especially right here. Okay, and get rid of all the nubs. The tree does die back from where you cut it. So this died back. See this, there's like literally no ramification on this branch whatsoever. It's just one long branch. So I need that to flush out, which it will next year. But I want to wire this down. I want to create movement in this branch really badly, but I'm really scared that I'll break it. So here we go. Okay, I hate the fact that this is so straight. But I've already broken this branch once, and I'm really scared I'll break it again. I have to apologize. I have a little bit of the cold. Kids are back in school, and that's where they go to collect their germs and then pass it along to all their family members. Okay. Oh, so straight. So straight, so ugly. Tempted to put a high gauge wire onto this and just try to bend it, but if I lose that branch, I'm gonna cry. Okay, let's get this side. See? Damn it, I just broke this branch. Ah, that kills me. All I did was barely touch it. Okay. Yeah, so, like I said, these trees are delicate, they're fragile. So fragile. That makes me a little bit mad. So now I'll have to walk away. Okay, I've dealt with it. I'm over it. Now it's time to go back to wiring. And I've already broken off 2 branches here that I needed. So I'm a little bit more mad about myself, or at myself. But I went ahead, took a really like a 4-gauge wire here, and put it onto this branch. Now it's starting to bend, and I'm a little bit more. A little bit happier with that branch now that it's starting to come down. It's not looking so straight and ugly. So yeah, that's a good thing. That makes up for the fact that I've already broken off 2 branches that really needed. So I'm gonna keep on wiring, trying to get the branches down to the shape that I want it. And there's one more branch here I need to kind of wire down. I've already broken a couple branches off of this lower one. Not too happy about it. But, you know, it is what it is. It's kind of the pains of wiring bonsai that are very delicate. So, goes down there. I got that same heavy gauge wire on this branch. Don't want to break it. At the same time, I don't want it to sit so straight. There you go. That's starting to come down. It's still a little bit straight. I want it to be a little bit lower. Broke it again. Damn it. Okay, this is so frustrating. I should have stopped while I was ahead. Clearly, I effed up, but I think I could save this branch. I'm just going to get a little bit of cut paste, stick it on, keep that water out of there. So frustrating. Okay, I think I better stop while I'm ahead. I've got one more branch here that I need to wire down. So, I knew it. I knew it. I should be able to save that branch, hopefully. I did that to this one last year, and it healed. So this one, hopefully will heal too. I got a buttload of wire on this tree, a lot more than I want, but it is what it is at this point. So I have to watch the timing on this next spring, so that way I've removed the wires on time. Okay, so there it is. Back out a little bit. Things are going down. I know people are gonna say, hey, you're shaping it like a black pine. I get it. But I don't care. And the tree will now have the bone set for the future. Do I want to move this one down into this area? I might. But I might just not touch it anymore right now because I've already broken enough branches as it is. Okay, there you go. Well, it is March 2022, and I think it is time to put this tree into a proper pot. We're going to put this into here. I've already put the wires into it, and we'll see what it looks like. All right. The trick here is, how do I take out this tree with the rock without destroying everything? I'll have to go upside down. There we go. Okay, that's good. And here's the rock. You can hear it right there, right? Okay. Oh man, I hope this pot is big enough. I don't know that it is. But the tree has done an amazing job of wrapping itself around this rock in about a year. Like, really amazing job. So that way you can kind of see it when it's in the pot, that, hey, look, this is a red sand cherry root of a rock. Say, what? Never heard of such a thing. So, for me, that's fun to kind of play around with different varieties. And I'm gonna build up that middle mound a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. Okay, this works for me. I have these tie-ins, but I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I need them. The tree's hugging a rock. Acts like an anchor. But I'll do it. It's always good practice. Okay, I am done repotting. So this is the transformation of the tree here after about, I would say, has it been 2.5, 3 years? From a Lowe's clearance sale sand cherry. Now it is very close to being what we would call pretty cool looking bonsai. So let's see what it looks like when it goes into bloom and then leaves out later on this spring. So we'll follow up. Here's the sand cherry. The leaves are starting to come out on it. Looking good. Even got buds. Looking really good. Alright, so now that I have this tree in a pot and I'm working on refining it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of pinching to create further ramification. I don't need this top right here to be, shooting out very long and straight. Branches, so I'm just going to pinch those off like I do in maples, just to break the oxen at the top and create some ramification. I want this thing to fill out and create a new apex and ramify. Okay, I'm just going to go around and do it to every single branch. You can see some of these beautiful flowers here. I've already taken pictures of it. I'm very happy with them. Very windy April day here. That's when I know the season is transitioning, is when the wind starts to pick up as we head into a new season. So now we're heading into spring, and I feel like spring has been a little bit late this year. Usually the cherry blossoms come out like around March 19th, and this year I think they came out closer to the 25th, so almost a week behind. So I am kind of reducing some of the strength in some of these tips by doing this, but that's okay, because what I wanted to do is then redistribute that strength into creating more branching and kind of create a fuller look. Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, very easy, very simple work. I don't have a ton of branches that I need to worry about, and so it wasn't a lot of branches to cut into. I kind of want to actually rewire some of these tip branches and splay them out a little bit. Right now they're going straight, and I don't like that. So there's a tree. I mean, it is going to be a continuous work in progress, obviously. But that is about 3 years from a clearance sale $5 sand cherry at Lowe's into this, which I'm pretty happy about. All right, good luck on your tree. I'll see you next time. Okay, so here is kind of the final update that I'm doing for this video. Obviously the tree is still not finished. However, it's gotten to the point where, you know, I'm starting to feel pretty good about it. I rewired it, got rid of all the janky wiring. I also remossed it and got rid of all the janky moss that I had on there. And now you can kind of see that rock as it sits there. There's a little bit of a gap here, which I don't love, but it is what it is. The tree is in pretty good form. And now, you know, all I'm worried about now is just to try to get it to ramify, right? And fill in some spaces. So this back gap right here is really wide open right through here. But that should fill in with time, you know, as I let that apex grow with all these little buds that are coming out. You can see here the flowers just finished, or there's a few left. Most of them have fallen off and the petals have fallen off. But that's it right there. This is the tree after 2.5 years of development. And I think overall it looks pretty good for that short amount of time frame. So this is kind of what you can, I guess, use as a sample of a sand cherry. You know, you went to Lowe's and got it on clearance. You could turn this sand cherry into a bonsai, a legitimate looking bonsai, flowering bonsai at that, for really cheap and in a very short amount of time. All right, see you on the next video. Bye, y'all.